are just reflecting, Bill, upon the fact that it is both unexpected and entirely predictable. Remind us just how sharp a thorn Alexei had been in Vladimir Putin's side.
Well, Alexei Navalny was the one of the most courageous people in Russia. He was ready to call out Putin for who he is, which is a criminal, a thief, and a murderer. And he made movies about Putin. He exposed Putin's illicit gains and wealth, and all of Putin's cronies. And for that, Putin tried to kill him with chemical nerve agent Novichok back in 2020. And here we are now, 2024. They finally got him. The first attempt to kill him didn't succeed, and so we don't know exactly what happened. But he's, according to Russian prison reports, he's no longer alive.
And you're in little doubt that that will be as a consequence of other people's actions rather than anything remotely resembling natural causes.
He was an extremely healthy, vital young man before the poisoning attempt, and how the Russian government decides to explain it, it's all obvious to me and everybody else that Alexei Navalny was killed by Putin.
How much influence or impact does the broader global picture have upon the audacity that Putin and his cronies would deploy in circumstances like this? By which I suppose I mean, if Putin's pariah status was even more firmly established, would he be less likely to be sanctioning or ordering this kind of thing?
Well, I think that the more Putin becomes sort of Kim Jong-un-like, yes, the more he doesn't care what people think. And so as he becomes isolated, as he becomes a pariah, nothing matters. But I don't think this is directed towards the international audience. I think this is directed towards the Russian audience, which is to say that he's anybody who stands up to him will be killed. Putin killed Yevgeny Prigozhin, and now he's killed Alexei Navalny. And the message is that this is what a dictator does. That it's a totalitarian regime, and messages to everybody: don't stand up to Putin because this is what happens to you.
Yeah, I had John Sweeney on the program earlier this week for slightly different reasons, and he ran through a list of opposition figures who have literally been murdered in plain sight by Vladimir Putin. For people who don't know, your commitment to exposing and ideally sanctioning Vladimir Putin also began with a murder in a Russian prison cell, didn't it?
Yeah, indeed. So one of the reasons that I'm so knowledgeable about Putin's crimes is that he killed my lawyer, Sergei Magnitsky. Sergei was 37 years old and was tortured to death in a Russian prison for uncovering a massive government corruption scheme in which Putin was a beneficiary. He was killed in 2009, and I've been on a mission to expose the people who killed him. And one of the people who got involved in helping me with this mission was Alexei Navalny. Alexei Navalny was very much a part of the Justice for Sergei Magnitsky campaign, and now Alexei Navalny is killed himself, and it's all very, very horrible and really just shows Putin's true colors in the most clear and dramatic way.
I'm sure also like you, I find my thoughts turning very, very reluctantly and very sadly to Vladimir Kerza, who's also in a Russian jail, also someone who's worked closely with you on the Magnitsky sanctions, and also a deep opponent of Vladimir Putin. A word, if you would, because you know both of these men, or rather you knew Alexei and you know Vladimir well. Why don't they stay in the West, agitating from the West? Why do they feel this need to return to Russia? And despite the obvious and today the crystal clear risks, not just to their safety but to their lives.
Well, it's the obvious question which I've asked Vladimir Kerza before he went back to Russia. I said, why would you do that? You could be more effective outside than inside in a prison. And the answer that I got from Vladimir, and I'm pretty sure this was the same with Navalny, was that he's a politician, that he's a patriot, that this is his country, and that it's his duty to stand up inside his own country. And that may be idealistic, it may be stubborn, but it's a different mentality than we can understand. And I think probably the only way to stand up against a dictator is to do that, but that there's a good chance you're going to lose your life in the process.
And finally, Bill, a word, if you would, on what happens now. I mean, some people perhaps would be expecting some form of investigation, that there would be some hope that the truth might emerge. You know from bitter experience that that's unlikely. But will we see any more than this announcement that a prisoner convict, A.A. Navalny, in correctional colony number 3, lost consciousness after going for a walk? Will that be the end of the story as far as the Russian authorities are concerned?
This will be the end. There will be an official cover-up that says that he died of natural causes, that it was nobody's fault, that it was unfortunate that people do die in prison, and that's what the fate of Alexei Navalny will be. They may even have a medical exam, which will be with fake results to support their assertion that he died of natural causes. And at the same time, Putin will glare at everybody with a clear understanding that he did it. And he likes to play out of both sides of his mouth. He wants everyone to know that he kills people, and at the same time he wants no official responsibility. And the best way of doing that is just to fake the whole thing.
Well, actually, while I have you, what did you make of Tucker Carlson's trip to Moscow this week?
Well, I mean, it looks particularly bad in light of them killing their most prominent opposition politician. Tucker Carlson is if he uttered the same words about Vladimir Putin that he does about President Biden, he would also be dead in Russia right now.
Bill Browder, many thanks. I'm sorry that we find ourselves speaking once again in such grim circumstances.